Let me just make sure this sounds on. Hi, everybody. I just finished my protein bar.
Mate time, or is it terere?
It is mate. It is on the terere side. It's the water could be hotter. I will say that.
It sound like a battle between two groups. In the beginning, there was a single tea culture.
Yes. We have a special guest. A special guest is
arrived.
Oh, hi, Bib.
Blimey, hello.
Oh, we have a lot of people viewing now. Oh my goodness, this is insane.
Oh boy,
I forgot it like continued.
Ooh.
Now, how does this work?
How does what work?
This thing that we're doing. The
Meet
I've already
Google?
forgotten. Yes.
Pretty much what's going to happen is we're probably going to share our screen a little bit and just kind of chat and such. But as we do it, it's only going to be like one person per. Oh, like per. A little blowout there.
Oh
yeah.
I just got an emergency alert apparently. So.
Okay.
I'm not sure what for, but if the world ends while we're streaming,
it's a test for the system.
Okay.
Witnesses.
I feel so excluded. I didn't get a
live on air.
Got a text.
A text from the government.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Hi, babes. We're in a bit of a pickle.
Oh, everybody else got the Tinglish just got the test alarm as well.
Yeah. Oh my god, 32 people here.
This is wonderful. So if you are joining this video, we are going to kind of talk about a region of our world called Odalu. It's more so an island in our world. And our kind of goal from a while ago was to have this be, magpie is bird time, is to have this be kind of bird only, more or less. Kind of very like kiwi, kind of very cassowary. I was thinking of capybara, and that's definitely not what we want in this area.
I think we're already like. I think that the number of different small variations of monotremes that we have envisioned means that say it's exclusively birds is a bit of an overgeneralization.
Yes, birds in corrupted monotreme seems to be the vibe. Oh no. Yeah. So I will go ahead then.
I was just going to say, so we're not going full New Zealand, as in like birds like occupy most of the charismatic niches, and there are like no native mammals. We're going for a little bit more of an even split.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how this would have to play out, honestly, because we have a couple of documents. There's one that Bib created, which I think it would be worth talking through some of the questions and hearing sort of Bib's response.
Yeah, let me look that up as well. So I remember. I will also share this. So people kind of have something to kind of latch onto as we kind of talk. Indeed, yes.
I forget that if I do things like that, people at home can't see because we're not all on screen now.
That is true. So now we have to, if we want to make any gestures, we have to have sound effects with the gestures.
Yeah, so my latching on impression is like this. I hope everyone enjoyed that.
I did. Okay.
Is it up?
It's going to be when my computer starts to respond.
Oh, no. Also, I need Mateus to verify the double entendre there. Anyway.
We're going.
The corruption of monotremes and ratites. What a lovely.
Okay, we should be up. Yeah, we definitely are up now.
Okay. So, do you want to read your questions to us, Pip? Like,
Sure.
I feel like this is like doing a play with a script in front of us.
Reading the table read.
Yeah, back to drama class.
I mean, it's important that we get these points down so that we have like
I
a
agree.
common understanding of what our sort of starting point and our goals are. So,
Yeah.
first of all, before we even get to the questions, what are our main goals here? Like, you both presented this idea of the pastoralists.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
It may be worth. I'm gonna copy the pictures into the other document, and then I think we have editing access in this document as well. So I'm gonna hijack the top.
Okay.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Thank you for that double, Dra.
There we go.
There we go. Look at her.
wow.
And let me put I can put the full map up as well. So for our conlanging projects, we have created a kind of world, which is basically a kind of landscape onto which we can put our languages.
Mm-hmm.
And to start with, we just kind of went with like what we could do. If you scroll down a bit, I've got the full map in there now.
Oh, lovely. There it is.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So let me get a link ready. But basically, this was done by friend of the channel, Nat, aka Rooftop Octopus, which is very difficult to say quickly and accurately.
Very much so.
I usually end up in like Rooftop Octopus. So I don't remember their channel name.
The Soritsu, probably something like this. Saritsan.
Yeah.
We will link it somewhere because they do have an awesome conlang showcase up there that we definitely want to plug.
So basically what they've done is we sent them our original map, which was a bit janky, and this new map hopefully will be less janky in the very short future. Although, to be honest, right now we are still in janky land where we don't have any scales or anything like that. So,
but this is definitely an improvement from where we were.
Bib, can you attest to this, Bib?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Okay. Good.
I'm going to go back to the local map up here since that's going to be our focus.
So this, I don't know exactly how to explain this. This is the only continent in this world that we're really concerned about. We haven't yet planned for what the rest of the world is doing, but essentially, this would be the equivalent of if there was a whole world that was sea with one tiny little continent on, but we haven't worked out what's stopping the winds from just blowing everything off the face of the earth. So, yeah, that's where we're at. If you go to the climate, yes, climate is the correct term here.
Oh, this is the climate. Oh, my dumbass was like, why is it blue?
It's blue because it's the warmest color.
It's the warmest color.
So I was trying to get as close to like the classic Köppen map stuff as I could. I did this in like 1 hour while also trying to watch one of the streams today because I thought we were going to have a bit more done by Nat. But there was a kind of communication error there or something. So I just kind of went for the coloring in. The key thing to note here is that the winds are moving from they're basically coming down from the northeast to the southwest. So I wasn't sure exactly how to do this rain shadow. The other thing is that this point here is at plus 15 degrees. And if you look at a lot of guides, if this was like a proper continent, they would tell you that this should be in this pale savanna-y color thing. The issue is that this is about half the size of Greenland, which is an awkward size because I can't find any analogs on Earth to just copy my notes from. So I think that there is enough distance and the mountains are tall enough. You can see like the big round island, which is called Ornalollu, is the mountains are they're quite tall. Like this is a quite new subduction zone. Yeah, continents are an opinion, and I don't know if I always like it. Anyway. And then this island here is is eponymous Odalu the correct way of expressing that? Because I don't think that that's how that works in this setting. But anyway,
I know what you mean, but this is Odalu Island, the one that
the stream's named after, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah. So okay, this region here, if you go to the global map, you can see that the languages we've already made are clustered in this northern area. So we have quite a lot of free reign, and it's also worth noting that where you see this huge mountain range here, that's because the continent or tectonic landmass underneath it has smooshed very hard. I don't think that's the correct way of expressing this. Anyway,
no, I think that's the technical term.
The big smoosh happened, and so it's basically the idea was that this had split up and then kind of re-smooshed, and in the re-smooshing, these three areas that were formerly separated have become re-smooshed into a single chunk. And so we have big chunk, and then these are our little chunks at the bottom. Yeah. And this island has been honestly not very far from this other chunk, but like it's been detached for quite a while. So there's like when we were talking to Bib about this, there was some argument in the sense of like fighting, but like some conversation about like how closely the kind of like the biomes on Ornalollu had to resemble the ones of what's above it and everything. But when we've already created some kind of animals, fauna, for the Kugartan language because we decided to name a lot of the islands.
We named nearly every island in this law.
I finished naming all the islands. So because I thought that we might have a named map, but anyway.
Hey, we're doing.
We're doing it for free. We're getting help by someone for free. Go and subscribe to our Patreon.
Please do.
Yeah, and our Discord is wild, but also small. So if you want friends, you'll make them.
If you are lonely, please subscribe.
It's true. Anyway,
yes.
It is a lot of names, but there's a lot of C to write the names onto.
Shall we go into the ground rules?
Let's move on.
First of all, I just want to confirm that I actually have this right. So, on this map, on the bigger island, Ornalollu,
yeah,
I'll go up to local.
That's where the pastoralists are originally from.
Yes.
So there's a culture of pastoralists living there, and then they make their way out into the archipelago.
Yeah, probably some.
Okay, I will explain the way I thought this was going to work. I thought that there would be people on both the big islands originally. I thought that the big island was too big for island domesticity to evolve. And so we made the small islands so that the small island could have the tamer birds. And then the tamer birds get taken across the strait and they are proliferated as domestic animals in the savannah zone because they're more useful. Well, not more useful, but they are useful in different ways in the savannah bit where there's kind of my understanding of these tropical zones is that in general there's usually enough food that people don't like. There may be some local migration, for example, but you wouldn't have like the scale of transience that you might get in like this area, in the drier areas.
Sure.
But that's kind of just mapping like what I know from our world onto this one, which to be fair is half about what we do because we're just going for vibes to make languages, but it's very cool to have you here to do some like proper world building.
Yes.
Well, I will do my best. So yeah, if the situation is we've got the pastoralists on Ornalollu, they go into the archipelago, they find these birds, they figure out that these birds are useful as domesticates. They take some of them back with them to Ornalollu, and then they become a common domesticate there. That's the general sum up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Then yeah, I think now we're ready to talk about the ground rules.
Okay. So
first of all, kind of like if you saw the stream I did with Madeline, I think it's very useful to establish right from the top, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much are we sticking with realism, verisimilitude, scientific feasibility, whatever you want to call it. 1 being like absolutely every single thing must be coherent within the laws of the universe as we understand them, and there's no creative freedom whatsoever. To 10 being there are no rules. Let's just do whatever the cool thing is, invoke magic and or divine intervention as we need to justify the cool stuff.
My vibe has been like a 2 or a 3. So some hand wavy, but not out of like the realm of impossibility. Like it could happen, but we would have to go through some like sixth dimension and find the timeline that we could find it in, I guess.
Okay, cool.
I would say, like, based on other world building, I think, like, for me, as long as nothing contradicts what we already have, I'm okay to add. But what we have doesn't include any magic. And so I don't need everything to be scientifically backed. And I'm willing to do hand wavy, but I wouldn't want to do anything that would absolutely require like divine intervention or magic. And I don't know where that fits on your scale. I think 2 or 3 probably is about that. Or
yeah, we can definitely sort of nudge things in the direction that we want them to go in within the bounds of what is feasible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that kind of answers most of the rest of those questions under that heading.
Yep.
Oh, on the question of real world animals, part of it is that what we have right now is that we have named a bunch of stuff that we've named them using names for real world animals, right? But I'm entirely down to say that this group of animals is either that we say that these northern bioregions have stuff that's a lot more like what's on our world, and the stuff down here is like a divergent group from those, or that like the stuff that's up there, if it's the same as what's down here, if it needs to be different, I'm very happy to say, actually, these things we've been calling quails the whole time actually are like twice the size and they taste like strawberries or whatever. Like,
okay, wait, I don't know the strawberry part, but I do like that idea.
No, because I know that quails already exist in our world.
They do.
So, and I know quails are gonna come up, but I don't need the quails down here to be any particular kind of quail, real or non-existent or whatever. Yeah, I hope that's
yeah. I think I get what you're saying, and that's all cool. That we will have a lot of freedom with how exactly we go about doing things. So I don't think we're gonna like what's the expression? Get ourselves into a corner.
Mm-hmm. Paint ourselves into a corner.
Yeah. So I think it should all be fine. I do have a slideshow about flightless birds to present at the appropriate point. So
when I don't know, there is a section about flightless birds.
Oh yeah. Once we get to that point, I'll switch over. So first of all, to establish some basic facts. Again, all of this is very mutable, and we can adjust this as need be as we come up with more ideas. But just in general, the geology of the land masses involved.
Yeah.
So we're saying that Ornalollu has been separated from the mainland for at least some chunk of time.
We're back to the chunk theory of it's separate chunk and it's been smishing around.
Yes, a chunk that has been separated for a chunk of time.
Yes,
a chunk of space and a chunk of time.
Chunk squared.
I'm now thinking about classifiers. That uses chunk as a classifier for things. Cool. So as long as Ornalollu has been separated for 10, 15, 20 million years minimum, which is not very long in geologic terms, then it will probably have a distinct biota from the mainland. And that will definitely be exacerbated if there has been a mass extinction in the interim. If basically the slate has been wiped completely clean, then any land masses that are separated from each other will build themselves back up independently of each other. And we don't really need to go into discussions of deep time, because I think the more we get into that, then the more rabbit holes we go down and the more things get kind of messy and confusing. So for now, we'll just say that there is a distinct biota on Ornalollu and the whole archipelago in general. And it's interesting that the how is it you say it here? Yeah, the islands are lying on a subduction zone, so they formed through volcanic activity rather than from the separation of the continents, which means that there could be they could have occurred more recently than Ornalollu breaking off. And in that case, when we have volcanic islands, these are essentially brand new habitats that are created because you just have like lava just rupturing up through the ocean floor and then solidifying. And now you've just got like a brand new, completely uninhabited place, which will be very, very useful for our purposes. And mass extinction, yeah, as we'll talk about in a moment, that will be useful for flightless birds as well. But again, I don't think we actually need to necessarily nail that down. We can just have that as a sort of vague idea to work with if we need it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
So,
It's bird time.
It's bedtime indeed. Okay,
okay, does Bib have access to share screen himself?
I believe so. Let me just check.
tell me if and when you see something.
Okay. Do you see an ability like a computer with a little arrow on it?
I do, and I've clicked it.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
Yay.
Nothing on my part has to change.
like, see that?
Yes.
Yeah, that works fantastic.
It's full screen. It's presenting. Cool. So yeah, I just this isn't going to take too long, but I just put together this little little guide to kind of what we're talking about. And if you've seen the Pillow World streams that I did with Madeline, a lot of this should be pretty familiar to you, but it's worth rehashing. So flightlessness. Well, but first of all, before we talk about flightlessness, let's talk about flight itself. So flight is a very rare evolutionary innovation. As far as we're aware, it's only ever happened 4 times in the entire history of life on Earth. We've got the insects, we've got the pterosaurs, we've got the birds, and we've got the bats. So clearly, because it is so rare, it must require a lot of factors to be at play in order for it to make sense. Which is part of the reason why, even though flight has only evolved 4 times, flightlessness has happened loads and loads and loads and loads of times. Like, I couldn't even venture a guess at how many times, but many, many, many dozens, if not hundreds of times independently, flying animals have lost the ability to fly. And this is by no means an exhaustive list that I'm showing on the screen, but you've got the dodo, very famously, which is a relative of pigeons that found its way to Mauritius. You've got the ancestors of the penguins became flightless. You've got the Galapagos cormorant. We've got the ratites, which we're going to talk more about momentarily. We've got the great auk. We've got the Hesperornithes, which are technically not birds.
I didn't realize that the head was at the bottom for a bit, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah." Yeah, probably. It's a diving bird. No problem. Yeah, it's technically not a bird, but it's still its ancestors could fly and it could not fly. So
is
that
it a
counts.
Plane?
It's not a plane.
Sorry?
Is it a plane? Sorry, I'll stop.
It is not a bird, and it is not a plane either. It's a Hesperornithine. And then we have the Gastorniforms. Is that right? Yeah, I guess it is.
Well, it depends if you're pronouncing that. There's another I, like Gastornithiforms.
Yes, Gastornithiformes, I suppose.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
okay.
Anyway, there's a whole tangent I could go on, but I'm not going to for the sake of time. The point
Okay.
is that lots and lots and lots of animals that could fly have lost the ability to fly.
Mm.
And it's the reason for this is that, yeah, flight not only it's very difficult to evolve and it's very difficult to maintain because it requires lots of physiological adaptations. You need a really efficient respiratory system. You need to save as much weight as possible and lose any kind of excess tissues or organs or anything to make your body as light as possible. Very large energy demands. You need a really efficient diet. But most of the time, it's worth it. Do I have a slide about this? Yeah, in most situations, flight will be worth it because it is really, really, really useful, particularly in escaping predators and in dispersing to new habitats. But if any situation comes along where there isn't very much predation, if you find yourself in a habitat that just doesn't have very many predators around, or if you just don't need to disperse, if you just find yourself in a particularly nice place, then it is extremely common for flight to be lost under those circumstances. And there's two particular situations that are very, 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 very highly correlated with flightlessness. Number one, islands. Pretty much any time birds have found their way to islands, they pretty much always have some kind of flightless group that comes about. And I'm not going to go too much into this because it's kind of off topic, but even though there have never been any flightless bats that we're aware of, there have been some predominantly ground-dwelling bats on New Zealand, like the awesomely named Vulcanops is a kind of burrowing bat. Could still fly, but definitely was not as keen to fly as a lot of its relatives. And the other situation is mass extinctions, which kind of similar to the island situation. If there is a mass extinction and most things at ground level are dead, then consequently that means there are very few predators around, which again means that flight isn't as necessary, therefore you can loot it. So this is where we see, well, actually I'll move on to this first. So if we're going to have flightless birds, there are lots and lots and lots of different options. And I've just gathered just a small sample of potential candidates for the type of birds that we could have on these islands. And these are not mutually exclusive. With the rate at which flightlessness happens, it's entirely possible that this archipelago could be home to lots of different types of birds that independently lost their flight. So you could have like ostriches on one island and dodos on another island, for example. So there's lots of freedom of choice here. But some of the ones that I thought.
Question first, Bib. How would like competition between like say two flightless birds on the same island? Would they kind of fight for the same resources, or would they maybe kind of have their own edges?
That's a very good question. It kind of depends on how things play out. On any given island, there might be. I'm trying to think of an example of multiple different clades of flightless birds coexisting on one island. Oh, well, actually, now that I think about it, there's the, I guess we'll move on to the first one because it's a nice illustration of the point. Ratites. So these are your ostriches, your emus, your cassowaries, your kiwis, your rheas, your tinamus, these sorts of birds that we have today. And I promise I will answer the questions. Just circling back around to it. So it was once believed that the common ancestor of the ratites was a flightless bird. That at some point, while Pangea was still a thing, some bird became flightless. And then as Pangea broke up, the descendants of this one flightless bird ended up on all these different parts of the world. And this theory was hilariously called the Noah's Ark theory. But it's
that's an excellent pun.
Yes, that was
Also,
the official
I
name.
don't think that cassowaries would appreciate being described as boring. And I don't think if we were in a room with
Hmm.
one, we would
I
also
will-
think it was boring.
Yeah, I will get to that momentarily. When I say
Okay.
boring, I am very much relatively speaking in comparison to some of these other options, but not to imply at all that ratites are boring. I love ratites. They are
Okay.
quite possibly my single favorite clade of birds. I think they're great. And there's nothing at all that would be boring inherently about the idea of having domesticated ratites. That is in and of itself an inherently interesting concept. So
Okay.
I do not mean to besmirch them in any capacity, and I deeply apologize.
I think on behalf of the cassowary and greater ratite community, I accept the apology.
Oh, wait, hold on,
Thank
pause.
very much
Have
appreciated.
we all noticed the bullet points yet? I just noticed the bullet points. Our little birds.
That's so cute. Sorry,
I'm glad someone noticed.
I went on to American volume for a second.
When I was at university, I think one of the only reasons that I got as high a mark as I did during one of my presentations that I did while I was working on my dissertation was because I figured out how to make the bullet points look like little crocodile mouths. And my supervisor was so enamored with them that I'm convinced that's why he gave me as high a grade as he did. So I've learned to do that in all my presentations now. Cool. So yes, the original idea of Noah's Ark was that all ratites are descended from a single bird that became flightless at some point. However, modern genetic analysis has very, very thoroughly discredited this idea, and it turns out that ratites actually independently became flightless at least 6 separate times throughout evolutionary history, and sometimes multiple times on the same landmass. So to answer your question from earlier, Miles, on New Zealand, we have moa, we had moa, and we have kiwis. They are actually not very closely related to each other at all, and their ancestors would have become flightless independently. So you absolutely can have multiple different flightless birds coexisting on the same landmass. It is conceivable that one of them could outcompete the other and become the sort of dominant group, but if they're filling sufficiently different niches, it's totally fine that they could coexist.
Are the cassowaries and the emus in Australia geographically separated then?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, I'm afraid.
Okay, because that's like they're also like both on here, or is one of these is a rhea, one is a ostrich, right?
Yes.
And then the one at the bottom is the emu.
The bottom left is the emu.
Yeah, bottom left is emu, and then that's a cassowary. So so Australia as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Did I say moa earlier? Yeah, I meant to say moa. If I didn't say moa, I meant to say moa, not emu.
And the elephant bird, or is that coming? Or are they coming up? Or are they also ratites? Ta-da!
Yes.
Oh, we're so good at segues. My God. I said we're so good at segues.
Oh, yes. This is all completely scripted.
Yes.
I know exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, ratites. One of the pros of going with ratites as these flightless domesticates is that they are, for the most part, extant. There are, of course, exceptions. There are things like the elephant bird in Madagascar and the moas in New Zealand that are sadly no longer with us. But the group as a whole is still extant, and that gives us a lot of keeps speculation to a minimum. We have like real world examples that we can draw from, which helps. There are some species of ratites that are from the sort of Oceanian biota, which is, from what I gather, more or less what we're going for in this project. There's a lot of the species that we've established in this archipelago are things like monotremes and tuataras and like other animals that we generally find in the New Zealand, Australia kind of area, right?
I honestly, I would be fine with adding more. Like, I love anything Amazonian, of course.
Yeah.
So, I'm not actually set on having it resemble Australia, New Zealand at all.
Okay.
But I do think that they have like some interesting flora and fauna. So
Yeah.
I think it's easy to lean into that just because it's cool, like, for want of a better word.
Sure.
Yeah.
The only difficulty if we go too far afield and like grab like really disparate groups and kind of force them together, that stretches credulity a little bit. But again, there's a healthy amount of hand waving we can invoke.
Bingo.
If need be. So yeah, they are
But,
from the
like, if you say like there's piranhas, which obviously are very South American, like it wouldn't affect like too much.
No.
Like as long as you don't go past the kind of absolute boundaries that we've suggested of like where the mammals lie at and like the ratios, like I think we could play with like passion fruits and guavas and stuff, which obviously are from outside of the region, to like mix things up a little bit, because I'm always wary of drawing too heavily on a single real world area for inspiration, because you don't want it to seem too much of a copy.
Sure. I'm with you there. So that's a thing to keep in mind going forward.
I have an idea.
I
have an idea. I wrote it down so we can continue.
Oh, cool. Very good. Ideas are welcome. Another pro with ratites, at least when it comes to domestication, is that they are predominantly herbivorous. This is a thing we see in quite a lot of flightless birds, because there are relatively few flying birds that are predominantly herbivorous, because you need a really high energy diet to fly, and like leaves especially are pretty nutrient poor and require a lot of digestive specializations that make flying very inefficient. So having these birds be flightless is good for the humans, because not to say that, just because an animal is herbivorous means it's not going to necessarily that it's safe to be around, I suppose. Like the myth of the the gentle giant is a thing we need to be wary of. Like,
cassowary.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Like cassowaries are notoriously quite. You got to be careful around them. So that's not to say that they're not necessarily not aggressive.
I was going to say, in the words of David, I would like to ride.
I mean, it seems that the list of things that David would like to ride is quite long.
Quite extensive.
Okay.
Yes, the only downside, if you could even call it a downside, that I could think of for the ratites is that they, again, not to say that they are boring in any capacity, but if you wanted to do something a little bit more exotic, then we could go to one of the other options. But I think in general, ratites are a very, very, very strong candidate. So that's number one. Number two, just had to throw these in there. Terror birds. They're another classic flightless bird, and they are from South America. So if we wanted a little bit of variety, we could throw those in. They are inherently cool. Giant killer birds. Everyone likes that. The downside is that they might pose some difficulties for humans to handle. They are predatory. They are, well, we don't know exactly how aggressive they would have been, but generally speaking, I imagine that domesticating them and everything that goes along with that would be quite difficult. generally like providing meat for a carnivorous domesticate. A lot of the time, it's just going to be more trouble than it's worth. They'll be quite difficult to provide for. So we could theoretically, just off the top of my head, if we say that they evolved in a kind of commensal relationship with humans in the same way as like dogs, where they're hanging around human settlements, they're picking scraps of meat out of the refuse piles. They sometimes accompany humans on hunts, and that helps to increase the hunting success of both species. And I guess we could end up with some kind of domestic terror bird if we wanted to go that route, but I think it's a little bit more difficult to justify than some of the other options.
Yeah.
Number 3, I just threw these in because they're not very well known about. So the Ornithids are a group of flightless birds from New Caledonia. They are extinct, sadly. They are not very big is the thing. Most of the species that we have, as like this one, which I didn't label for some reason, is not nearly in the same size range as some of the other birds. And we also don't actually know very much about their dietary habits. It is presumed that they were largely herbivorous, although they may have also had a portion of insects in their diet. They might have been partially insectivorous. And according to some indigenous sources, apparently, they were quite aggressive, for what it's worth. So that might be another potential downside. Number 4, Mihirungs. So also called the Drammonithids, or the Thunderbirds, or the Demon Ducks of Doom. This is a group, they are distantly related to ducks.
Okay.
Although they don't have very many duck-like characteristics. They were native to Australia. Again, sadly extinct now. And I think they do not get nearly the level of attention they deserve, because they're just as spectacular as a lot of these other groups, but you barely ever hear anyone talking about them. They, as you can see, they were comparable in size to the largest of the ratites and terror birds. They were, at one time, they were thought to be predatory in the same way as the terror birds, but I think it's pretty conclusively been shown by this point that they were predominantly herbivorous, which again, in general, that would be easier for humans to deal with in their domestication efforts. And also the thing that drew me to Mihirungs is the fact that compared with other flightless birds, they have comparatively thick, like robust, muscular legs. In fact, at one time, they were thought to be very slow-moving, kind of plodding animals that weren't capable of great bursts of speed. But that's been overturned recently. But regardless, if we did we decide, or were we thinking about having the possibility of having mounted animals at some point?
I think so. My brain has always kind of wanted the birds to be plow animals or have some flavor of that, and I think these would be great candidates with the robust legs and the kind of like the ploddiness of it. Yeah.
Well, plowing.
Yeah, that's kind of the lines I was thinking along.
I don't know in the history of animal domestication if there are a lot, like, were horses originally used for plowing, or like I feel like for the goal of having them be the animals used by the pastoralists, it could be that they have like two kinds of birds, one which they ride to like herd them, and then you have a different kind of bird that like is used for more for food. But yeah, that's because if my thought is that like you wouldn't necessarily use like you wouldn't have buffalo riders as pastoralists. Like, I don't think that, like, the two kinds of things, I don't know how much they make sense together, but like, also I don't know if it's worth making the distinction. And Mihirung instead of calories sounds like a very fun name. I'm really into these guys, and I love how they only have pros.
I also love how they only have pros.
I could not honestly think of a downside. Also, I don't know why in this this size chart, I don't know why Gastornis is there. Gastornis is not a Mihirung. So you can ignore that. But the Dromornis, the orange one in the middle, that's like a classic classic Mihirung. So yeah, that's all.
Was lonely and wanted some friends.
Maybe. Although they,
I'm sad
they would have
that they
lived in
don't have
very
the
similar
sassy
ways.
women. Some of the height some of the height charts have a sassy woman on them, and this one has a very boring man.
The one with like the one hand on the elbow kind of thing.
Oh my gosh.
I hope we get to see her today. Anyway,
I don't think we will, because I think the last one I have is just make something up. And again, because flightlessness happens so often, it would totally be within the realms of possibility for us to just pick any group of flying birds that we like. Like if you wanted to say like quails, for example, we were talking about them earlier, or basically anything else you wanted, like toucans or pigeons or flamingos or anything else. You just say they make it to these islands. There are a few predators, so they become flightless. So that would be totally within the realms of possibility. Only thing is, it would mean a little bit more work thinking about just inventing a clade from, not exactly from nothing, but we'd have to think more in the specifics. There's less from the real world to pull from. And this picture is just, I have to say, is from The Future is Wild. They have these speculative giant birds in South America, which honestly, it doesn't make very much sense, but it's still pretty cool. And I think, those are the options that I have. Again, not at all mutually exclusive or not an exhaustive list of possibilities, but just a broad overview.
I know that helped me put a lot of things into perspective just from a familiarity standpoint. So I'm glad, because this is definitely sparking a lot more than honestly I had thought we would get down. I think me and Jake are both sold on the Mihirungs. I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but
I was wondering, like, this is maybe something for me and Miles to look into. Like for the food birds, like historically birds were a lot more valued for their eggs than their meat. So I guess I'm in my head, I'm wondering whether they would like. I'm trying to think about how the pastoralists would. Like, I feel like there are different functions that they have, and Will seems to be like saying that like if we went all in on Mihirungs, it wouldn't be unreasonable to have breeds that were for food and breeds that were for riding and stuff.
Sure.
I did think like terror bird dogs sounded very cute. So maybe like we could have, because we talked about having two different groups of flightless birds on Ornalollu and Odalu. So maybe like there could be less useful domesticated birds on Ornalollu, and then the Mihirungs get brought over in a more domesticated form, and like we could think about like maybe the cultural shift there or something. I think that would be cool.
Sure. And I think I will go ahead and at this point, pitch my idea about, to be clear, this is just, this is not like a, what's the word? Established thing.
The end all be all.
This is not like a scientific, God, what am I trying to say? What are the words? I have an idea about a particular thing that might happen. And as far as I'm aware, there are no known instances of this happening that would lend credence to this idea.
Sure.
But I think it might be fun. And that is that.
I'm still thinking about the strawberry quail.
I'm good.
Lie. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so the idea is that a lot of times what we see on islands is what we call island tameness, which is basically, again, because there is relatively little predation pressure, animals on islands tend to be a lot less skittish than animals on the mainland.
Okay.
There have been a bunch of studies with island-dwelling animals that the flight distance, like the distance at which they will, if a human is approaching them, they will start to run away, is significantly less than their mainland relatives. And so my idea is that the humans could sort of leverage this to aid in their domestication attempts. So it could be that there are Mihirungs or some other kind of flightless bird on Ornalollu, but by and large they are relatively aggressive or difficult to handle, and so the process of domesticating them doesn't really get kicked off. But then when they go across the seaway and arrive on Odalu, they come across this particular species of them dwelling on this island that are comparatively really docile, and they just kind of wander up to you. Like, this is kind of the situation with dodos, right? Because dodo, if I'm remembering correctly, the word dodo comes from some slang term that means like idiot. I could be misremembering that, but they were thought to be really stupid because they didn't have any fear of humans. They would just kind of wander up to you, and if a big fat, tasty looking bird just kind of wanders up to you, they're extremely easy to hunt and kill. Although it is worth noting, it's a little bit of a misconception that the dodos were hunted to extinction. It wasn't so much the hunting as the species that humans introduced, like pigs and rats, that would eat their eggs. Because if you're a large bird, that kind of forces you to nest on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember where I was going with that thought, but that's what I thought.
Yeah, I did think of doid in Portuguese, which obviously when you say it with like a modern pronunciation doesn't sound right, but there was a form that was doudo, which obviously is a bit closer. But anyway, we'll have to see.
I understand your idea a little bit, Bib, with kind of the docileness of it, where it's kind of like if it's more easily approachable to you, then it's likely to form that bond a little bit quicker. I think maybe the idea that I wrote down might kind of help. So like my idea was to have a bird that fulfills a niche by eating passion fruit, just kind of eating them whole. And then that could be a way for them like to digest and then disperse the seeds. So we could kind of, I guess, the humans could kind of use that like passion fruit to kind of like not trap them, but kind of like, I guess, like ease them in closer.
Sure. Jake looks.
No, because I don't know. I guess if there were like loads of passion fruits, it would work, I guess.
Yeah.
Or like you just have to make it the best passion fruit that the birds have ever eaten or something. Anyway.
And I mean, like the niche can be very narrow. Like it doesn't have to be this like prolific like passion fruit tree forest.
But they don't grow on trees. They grow they're like vine fruit.
Okay, then my understanding of passion fruit is then not strong enough.
No, it's. I think it's that because from my perspective, like passion fruit are like mostly empty with just like seeds in,
Yeah.
and like they're very sour. I don't know what the nutritional value is like. So like a bird consisting on a diet solely of passion fruits. I guess if they can just eat leaves, it would maybe be better than that. But
I
anyway.
mean, you could definitely be predominantly frugivorous, like the
Mhm.
fruit-eating birds, and maybe passion fruit is just their favorite. And yeah, maybe they could even be like culturally associated in some way with passion fruits, and so
So we have strawberry quails and passion fruit Mihirungs.
Correct.
exactly. Cool. So what is the next thing to think about? We've got these Mihirungs. Yeah, so the question is, if the Mihirungs are on Odalu, are there flightless birds also on Ornalollu? And if so, are they also Mihirungs or are they from a different group?
I think this is a good time to kind of really take some notes. So I'm going to share my screen again so we can kind of have a little bit of some, I guess, artifacts to go from. Okay. So let's say, now zoom into, and this is a different doc that I'm in, not the usual one. Zoom in here. So let's say birds on Ornalollu. And then birds on Odalu. Okay. So I'm trying to piece together my thoughts now. So
Okay.
go ahead, Jake.
Do you also like the idea of terror bird dogs?
I think that could be fun.
Yeah. So I think that we have the terror bird dogs on, like, I think if all of the birds on Ornalollu are very aggressive,
Yeah.
because it then provides a reasonable mechanism, and also like this might be completely wrong, but like when I think of like the tropical forests, I feel like there could be like there's a lot of places for birds to hide, whereas out if it's more of a savanna, then you could like have better vision. So in my head it works better for like having large groups of like food Mihirungs that you're then protecting from the wild equivalents of the terror birds that are coming to attack.
Yeah. And also, for what it's worth, generally speaking, pack hunting behaviors, like we see in canids, dogs, for example, those are much more likely to evolve in open habitats, things like steppe, for example, rather than rainforests. And they are especially, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I do think that pack hunting is kind of overrated in some respects, because the way a lot of people go on about it, they think it's like a lot of people seem to equate, like, again, speaking about these things very sort of teleologically, as if pack hunting is like inherently more advanced than solitary hunting. But pack hunting has independently evolved loads and loads and loads and loads of times. So it can evolve relatively easily, and yet less than like 10% of all predators are pack hunting. And so if it can evolve so easily, then, and if it was so great, then surely everything would be a pack hunter. But really, it only makes sense under certain circumstances, and especially when you're in a big open landscape with widely dispersed populations of prey that are relatively difficult for you to take down on your own.
Yeah, I was thinking kind of like a triangulation sort of dealio with that.
Cool. So we've got terror birds on Ornalollu.
So the fruit-eating Mihirungs were going to be on Odalu, weren't they?
Originally,
But
and then
it
some
would
of them
make
get taken
sense
back.
for there to be Mihirungs also on Ornalollu if they have moved from there, right? And I don't know what the difference would be like between the tropical ones and the savanna ones, like the wild savanna ones.
So say that one more time. You're saying that there are also Mihirungs on Ornalollu because
I guess it would. Oh, I remember you because you said that flightlessness evolves a lot. So were you thinking that the Mihirungs would be entirely endemic to Odalu?
it could go either way. It could be that Odalu forms and the ancestral flying Mihirung lands on it, and they are entirely indigenous to this particular landmass, and there are none of them anywhere else in the archipelago. Or we do know that if islands are sufficiently close together, sometimes large animals can just swim between them. That was the case with the Channel Islands mammoth off the coast of California. At some point during the Ice Age, a group of mammoths they are called the Channel Islands, not the...
Yes, I was imagining a mammoth on like Jersey with like the cows.
Well, now you said California, I'm thinking of like the Los Angeles, like really like basic white girl mammoth. And she's like, oh my God, we're gonna go to Helena Island, and we're gonna go to Airline, and we're gonna swim. And that's just where my head is at.
A diet consisting of iced coffee and vibes.
Yes. To put things back into perspective, would it make sense to have the fruit-eating Mihirungs be more in the rainforest because of like the biodiversity, and then maybe have some sort of like the savanna version of the Mihirungs, if you want to go down that route, to be, I guess, maybe more leaf eating, or I guess I'm trying to think of more of the biodiversity on the savanna. Maybe like grasses. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I was gonna say savannas are like more grass-dominated environments, and so I think it would make sense for these, or because they're tall, they could be like filling the giraffe niche.
I'd imagine that as well, a little bit, ironically enough.
Yeah, potentially. They could be like browsing herbivores along the edge of forests. Or there could be some species that are relatively generalist and can just sort of eat any kind of plant matter.
I like the generalist. I do want a small group of giraffe.
Sure.
Because we would have some forested areas on the island as well, where the rains would be strong enough to support it. So
like the monsoonish region here. The transition zone, if you will. Yeah.
And you have a more of a jungle or tropical. No, they're all tropical. No, it's just called tropical, isn't it? Or no, I think my brain stopped working. More rainforest at the top of the island as well, because it's significantly wetter.
Yeah, rainforests tend to be quite wet. So we've got so we are saying then that Mihirungs, the Mihirungs are native originally to Ornalollu, and then at some point within the last however many million years, some of them did manage to move across to Odalu, whether by swimming or falling sea levels or what have you. So on Ornalollu, then if we establish a little mini food web, so like the Mihirungs are like the dominant group of large herbivores then. So we
Yeah.
could have some relatively small fruit-eating ones. We could have some much larger giraffe-like browsing herbivores. We could have some stocky sort of grazers, and then they are preyed upon by the terror birds.
Bingo. Yeah. I had imagined these kind of like with the grasses, kind of little smaller, sort of kiwi-esque things that the Mihirung or sorry, the terror birds that kind of just like I guess explored like the grasses and kind of just like bird a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
obviously in kind of our timeline, the terror birds don't exist anymore.
Such a shame.
Were they hunted out by humans?
I don't believe so. I believe that they just before or as North and South America were colliding, they were starting to lose out, as I recall. And some of them did manage to migrate north into like the southern, like the Texas, Florida kind of area.
Oh.
But I believe they died out before Homo sapiens arrived in the Americas. If I'm wrong on that, someone do tell me in chat.
Northern Path theory.
Sorry?
Is that based on the idea that they came across the Bering Strait?
I don't know if it's particularly relevant to any specific theory. In fact, I'm just going to look this up because now I'm second guessing myself.
Because like there is more and more evidence that it's possible that humans were in South America a lot earlier than we thought. Although I guess not in large enough numbers that we have evidence of it in the fossil record, I guess.
Is that based on the Trans-Pacific idea?
Yeah. Or the southern route theory, where people went along the shore of Antarctica. But I think that like my Amazonian studies lecturer was really into these theories, and so I think I give them slightly more credence. Probably should. But like there's evidence of like similarities in indigenous Amazonian DNA and Papuan DNA, for example, which he believes was indicative of some prior migration before the one from the predominantly East Asian seeming groups or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah. I do want to point out something that Magpie put in chat a little bit. They said that I think the monotremes might be likely to fill the niches of the small little boys rather than the kiwis. They could dig the ground for tubers instead.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Ornalollu is a fairly big place, so there's going to be enough room for fairly diverse ecosystems. So we could.
Well, you'd have like a tropical ring around kind of 3 of the 4 sides, and then you'd have an alpine ecosystem in the mountains, and that would probably also have like pockets that would spread between them. And where this river is, I don't know if you would have like a through path that would end up
the north or south one.
What?
The North or South River?
The more southerly one.
Okay, this little doodle.
Yeah, like if you look on the climate map, you can see the area that I have left uncolored for alpine reasons.
Yeah.
And you can see that there's like a kind of path in like 2 mountains from the left.
Yeah, this little pass right
Yeah.
here.
So
Yeah,
there-
yeah.
I'd be interested to think about like what on each of these areas would be like. But anyway, and then you have your monsoon climate on like as the transition climate, and then you've
Yeah.
got like the drier, grassier interior.
Yeah. So we can maybe have some little monotremes in there.
Yes.
Doing some Burrowing rather.
Because the fairy monotremes are from the mountains. We've established this.
The what? What did you say?
The various monotremes.
Oh, various. I heard that. I thought they did fairy monotremes. I'm like, oh, they have little wings and they
Oh,
can
like
fly.
Like the pink fairy armadillos.
I was gonna say my favorite armadillo, one of my favorite mammals in general, the pink fairy armadillo. We can totally have pink fairy monotremes.
Are there flightless birds that predominantly eat crustaceans?
Not that immediately come to mind. I mean, other than something like, penguins.
Tropical penguins that just eat crabs.
Yeah. Yeah, crab-eating penguins. I mean, penguins are quite a bit more northerly than they're often depicted. Like there are penguins in like South Africa.
Yeah. I guess this is gonna sound like really wild, and I mean spec bio for a good reason. So like just like from a homology standpoint, like wings and flippers behave similarly. So I can imagine there being some sort of like adept diver bird.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I didn't go over this in the flightlessness bit, but that's another pretty common path to flightlessness, is not just ending up on an island, but specifically if you're a bird that's adapted to like diving into the water after prey, moving through air and moving through water are similar in a lot of ways, but the main difference is just density. And the more you adapt for living in the water, the worse you are at flying. Like I believe it's the pelagic cormorant has these special wings that are adapted to help it steer underwater, but consequently it has the lowest flying efficiency of any flying bird. And so it's probably on its way to flightlessness. So we could totally have some like diving birds.
Okay, I have a question.
These islands.
Miles has written that there is a thing that there are fruit bats. How detrimental would the introduction of fruit bats be?
I'm thinking about fruit bats.
I think there'll be enough fruit for everyone.
Okay.
Especially if these this is a random idea, maybe some of these fruit-eating birds have specially adapted beaks that can break open like the tough outer it's been a while since I've done botany, but the endocarp, if some of these fruits have like a relatively hard sort of
Okay.
The coconut eaters. The coconut emus.
We need the coconut emus, and we need the Amelia Earhart emus.
Well, they're not really emus. They're Mihirung.
I did have an idea of like along like the coast. I could imagine these would be the birds that could probably like cross this gap to swim. So like I can imagine the distribution of these like diver birds be all along this sort of like mountainous tropical region ish, and maybe even get some like diversity in that too.
Sure. And different species or subspecies on different islands that have slightly different adaptations and go after different prey. I would like to say, looking it up, I was remembering correctly, the idea that terror birds were hunted to extinction by humans is no longer considered valid.
Cephas suggested that as well.
Oh, good. I'm glad I was not misremembering. So another factor I just wanted to throw in while I remember is with Foster's rule. So as brought up in Madeline's stream, generally on islands, small things tend to get big and big things tend to get small. And generally the smaller the island, the more extreme that effect is. So with the islands being the size that they are, I could totally imagine if we say that the Mihirungs are originally from Ornalollu, and then we have one of these fruit-eating Mihirungs, which on Ornalollu will be relatively small. If some of them just swim over and find their way to Odalu, they will very rapidly get much, much bigger in size. So they will kind of resemble giant versions of the fruit-eating birds that the pastoralists will already be familiar with.
Is it possible that the leaf-eating giraffe Mihirungs would also go across? Would they become small?
Yeah, totally. We could have dwarf giraffe Mihirungs as well.
I love that idea.
Wow, this is going to be amazing. Is a giant monotreme capybara possible?
Who is asking this?
Magpie.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Giant monotreme capybaras.
I feel like they would fill too many niches, right?
I mean, again, even Odalu isn't that small. It's like the size of New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Or the North Island, New
North
Zealand.
Island, yeah.
Yeah, we've got enough space to play around with there, I think. And it depends. I mean, depends on what exactly your definition of capybara is, because there have been reasonably large, monotremes before in like the same kind of size range as capybara. Like, I think that Murray glossus is still the largest known monotreme. If you picture like an echidna that's like 3 meters long.
Great dragon, Mary glossus.
They take the dwarf giraffe. What if the dwarf giraffe Mihirungs became the food species?
Yeah, potentially. They will also I don't want to say succumb, but to island tameness. They will also be affected by the same sort of pressures as the fruit-eating Mihirungs.
For some reason, the giant monotreme capybara conjured this like mountain goat version of one that would kind of like scale those like mountains and then kind of like, I guess, have like nests a la falcon or like condor. I'm just spitballing here, but that could be a really cool species to have.
Oh, we do have vultures as well. We do have like
beavers.
Yes.
That's an important thing to have.
I mean, New Zealand famously was home to the Hart's eagle, which is this giant eagle that is, I think it's in like the top 10 largest birds ever. Not quite as big as like Argentavis, but still very large predatory bird. So it's not like there's going to be no predators at all on these islands.
Yeah, that would be insane, and the food web would just proliferate if we didn't have any sort of like.
Yeah, they would rapidly exceed their carrying capacity.
Are there birds that have interactions with rays? Just because of the origin of Ornalollu as the ray with the big head. Island.
Not that I can immediately think of. I don't know if there might be some wading birds that might, if they're going through shallow water, maybe they occasionally interact with rays, but I'm not sure. I can't think of any instance of birds like specifically feeding on rays.
The birds ride on the rays to go to their destination.
It's the scorpion and the one animal that stings when it tries to
fox.
Yeah, it's the ray and the Mihirung. I didn't maybe have the idea, since we're kind of we have a good idea of what sort of like birds we want to have on which islands. Do we maybe want to kind of like come up with some roots and do some language stuff at the curtail of this?
We can do, but if if the this is where like not knowing the history of where the people exactly have come from is kind of like squishy because I'm like, if the people are from this area and we think that the oldest form of the language that we have is from there, it kind of, are we making roots just for this stuff on? Oh, and also I also realized later the whole point was, I think it's fine that the Kogarten speakers can be from Odalu and the Momo home island, but we ended up saying that they were from the small island to the north of Odalu. I mean, it's not that small, but like the kind of separate island with the single mountain underneath where the N in Kogarten is.
This little doodle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, how they got there. I feel like they could maybe like have sailed from somewhere else, and that's why their language is the way it is.
Some hand wavy stuff.
Because then I'm like,
Excuse me.
if the dwarf giraffe Mihirungs then move from Odalu onto Momo Island, which is what we're calling the little one, would they just get even smaller? And so you have like super dwarf giraffe.
Yeah, I think the effects of the dwarfism would be much more pronounced. Is the ones on Odalu could be still relatively large.
Yeah.
Like notably smaller than the ones on Ornalollu, but still relatively large. Whereas the ones on Momo Island could be, again, like we see in like a lot of cases with elephants, when they find their way to islands, they shrink to like less than 5% of their original mass, I think. Like some pygmy mammoths are really, really tiny. So you could have these little things running around.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, with that little kind of that like large island in the middle, that can kind of like have like little cave, little colonies, I guess, of little bubbles. Be cute.
I also spotted that we have chickens canonically. Although, if there are chickens, I think I specified that actually they're jungle fowl or something less domesticated.
So these are wild chickens.
Yeah, I think I specified jungle. Yeah, I said jungle fowl / chicken because I was selling the idea to Bubba about what his name would mean. And I guess jungle fowl, I mean specifically like the ones with claws that people use to fight. Like
okay.
No, they're what became chickens.
Yes, yeah.
And they are also quite closely related to quails. I mean, kind of. They're both galliform birds, and we know that we have quails.
That's true.
So are they also native to this area?
I mean, it could be that they brought them on the ship with them. Because I don't. The real question, the real thing is that we just don't know. Like,
kind of where in the yeah, I think that's what you're saying too, Jake, is kind of like we can have roots for all of these things, but like when are the humans kind of like interacting with these, and what sort of like, I guess, analogies are they working with?
The Javanese Gallus varius look really cool. They kind of have crests like the cassowaries. At least the male ones remind me of that.
Yeah, very colorful. That's cool.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. It's in case it wasn't already clear. By the time that humans show up,
Yeah.
Like everything that humans do happens on such a short time scale in comparison
That
with
is-
evolution that it's not like if humans transport any of these animals from one place to another, there'll be like notable change
Mhm.
in the timescales that we're talking about. So all of this will be a pre-human thing in terms of how these things evolved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
These are cool.
I also wanted to briefly touch on mammals as well.
Let's do it.
So, yeah, we've said we're not overly trying to mimic any one particular real-world place, but we do know that we have gone with quite a monotreme sort of vibe,
Mhm.
which I think is cool.
Yes.
So, generally speaking, mammals are split into 3 groups. We've got the monotremes, we've got the metatherians, which includes the marsupials, as well as some other stuff, and we've got the placentals. And generally speaking, I would think that having any placentals anywhere near these islands would be a very bad thing for the monotremes. And possibly for the birds as well, because again, ground nesting birds are generally quite vulnerable to pests that are introduced. And so, like something like if rats arrived, that would be a really, really big problem. So, do we want to go with just monotremes, or are there also some marsupials or other metatherians kicking around?
I keep thinking about koalas because ever since your "what if everyone ate eucalyptus leaves" question, it's been burning in my head. Just
Wow,
like,
I'm glad that throwaway thought gave you so much inspiration.
Look, I have one like point. I don't know if it's an idea or not, but when it comes to like the bird and the monotremes, it's a lot of eggs. And could there be something that I guess would quote unquote hunt the eggs? Whether it's a bird or a monotreme that could kind of like, if there is such a large amount of them, that might be one niche to fill. I think I just wanted to at least expel that in my mind.
Yeah. There could definitely be some oviviparous, not ovoviviparous, although there could be some ovoviviparous as well, some that secondarily evolve to give birth to live young, like the eggs hatch out internally. That's come up quite a lot in these streams these days. But no, ovivary. The terms are so terrible. Ovivary is eating eggs, so there could be some specialist ovivores. Something that I'm thinking about potentially, if we want to widen things up and include some marsupials or metatherians. First of all, before the idea of pack hunting terror bird dogs was introduced, I was thinking maybe including some sparacidonts, which are kind of like the metatherian equivalent of like saber-toothed cats. They're these very, if you look up like Thalacca smilus is probably the most famous species. It's shall I drop it? How does this work? It's spelled like that.
yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
So they look a lot like saber-toothed cats, completely and totally unrelated, and they've evolved these very large incisors that kind of slot into these natural kind of scabbards in their lower jaw.
I've got a picture
Now,
in the document from Wikipedia.
Oh, lovely. Oh, they're tiny little guys.
Live stream fan art. Where's the fan art? Oh, Jonathan's drawn us a strawberry quail.
Oh my.
where?
It's in the cool memes.
Oh,
section.
it's in our Patreon.
Here's the strawberry quail for everyone.
I want to see the strawberry. Oh.
It's underneath.
Oh, yeah, I will see. Look at that little dude. Oh. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so we can
Very
the
well done.
full entirety of it all. That little doodle. Yeah.
It's much nicer than having an elk urine picture to share with everyone.
Ah,
Sorry, I went there. No, I think Jonathan would be very pleased to have some cat analogous folks.
yeah. And
Yeah.
we know that they coexisted with the terror birds in South America for
Oh,
a long time as well. So I don't think that would be too much of a problem to have both the terror bird dogs and these guys running around.
I was thinking that the island that's like to the bigger island to the east of Ornalollu.
this guy.
Yeah, I was thinking of whether that could be a cat island, and so having it be like dominated by maybe a larger version of these guys could be fun.
Sure.
I'm thinking that if, depending on how aggressive the terror birds are, could these potentially be a potential prey for them? Given, I mean, this is 1 meter, so I'm trying to imagine that in my American brain. Everything is a yard, but like the terror birds are big boys.
Yeah, pretty big.
So like, okay.
I imagine that the terror birds will mostly go after the herbivorous species, but if they are, sufficiently aggressive, or if just, animals in general will take opportunities to feed when they can. So, yeah, some of them might go after
carnivorous as well.
Hmm?
These are carnivorous as well. The thylaco. Okay, perfect. Okay, I think that's where I got lost a little bit.
So these the Sparacidonts like Thylacospilus might fill a lot of the sort of the smaller niches of smaller predators and maybe mesocarnivores and things.
Okay.
And again, if we wanted to broaden things up a little bit, we could include some marsupials, things like possums, potentially. I
do like possums.
Yeah, and if we especially if we wanted to have a specialist ovivore that mainly ate eggs, I think a possum might be quite poised to do that, because possums are generalist, but
what did the tuataras eat, and could there be like a egg-eating tuatara as well?
Yes, actually, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea, because Rhynchocephalians, which is the larger group that includes the tuatara, which is the only modern living species, they in the past were much more diverse, and it is completely within the realm of the possibility in my mind that you could have something kind of like an egg-eating snake, except it's a Rhynchocephalian. So, yeah.
I don't know how to spell the Latin words you're using, so
RHYNCO CEF CEPH ALIANS.
Okay, Reno. Okay, I trust you. Also, I think we should make opossums. Wait, are they possums or opossums? I guess they're both marsupials, right?
Yes, they could be either didelphids, as in what we think like American possums, like the Virginia opossum, or they could be phalangeriforms, the marsupial, the Australian variety. Either one or both of those would be perfectly permissible. And then I was thinking that if we are going with the idea that there's a relative mix of monotremes and marsupials on
Mhm.
Ornalollu, like there's some variation there, then the further you get along the archipelago, the
Okay.
more the ecosystem in terms of the native mammals is dominated by monotremes, and the less
That makes sense. Marsupial
diverse
metastases.
the marsupials are. And so that
Yeah.
way, as you go along the island chain, you could get bigger monotremes, more diverse monotremes. On some of the islands, you could get giant monotremes, like you could get capybara monotremes. The sky is the limit.
Yay!
Yay. Okay, I like this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And while the idea occurs to me, I'm trying to think of some interesting thing to do with. So one of the cool things about monotremes is that all of the monotremes that we have alive today evolved from a semi-aquatic ancestor. So the echidna would have evolved from something that was kind of like a platypus, and the platypus is semi-aquatic, and the platypus has electroreceptive organs in its beak, so it can sense the bioelectricity produced by the aquatic animals that it hunts. And echidnas are cool because they have retained that ability, even though they still live on land. So they poke their noses into damp soil, and they can detect the electricity of animals moving through the soil.
Huh.
Oh, that's so funky.
It is really cool.
What if the monotremes developed like gliding, so not quite flight, but like we had
Whoa. Okay.
gliding monotremes,
Like sugar
Like-
baby.
like sugar
No.
gliders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sugar babies are the sweets. Unless
I've never had a sugar daddy. If you had a sugar daddy, I could have.
that's not where I was going.
That's where I just went though. So
Gliding monotremes. Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing, is that whereas flight has only ever happened 4 times, gliding happens all the time, constantly, everywhere. Loads and loads of completely unrelated groups converge on gliding, and we have gliding. We have flying phalangers in Australia, which are very similar to like flying squirrels. So why not throw in flying monotremes, or gliding monotremes rather? Yeah,
people are into the monotone sugar glider.
I'm very here for this, and
Cool.
I'm very here for the. I think I prefer the phalanger forms to the American opossums. Although I feel like that maybe no, I'm fine with that because I like the arborealness of them.
Mhm.
Although
Mhm.
the American
No.
opossums also go in trees, right?
They don't
They
hang.
can go in trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Virginia opossum is also the only marsupial to ever exist in North America, and was for some reason the only native South American marsupial to survive when the North American biota showed up. At least it's the only one that was able to actually head north and
Here we go.
spread into North America, whereas I can't remember what it's called, but there's at least one other species of marsupial in South America.
Okay, I think it's sorry to cut you off. I want to answer Jonathan's call asking for numbats. Because I thought it was like a version of a wombat. And I was like, oh, is that a misspelling? And no, they're stripy and they eat insects. And they have like
yes,
and they're very cute. And I would be very happy to have, oh my god, and there's quolls and they're spotty. Wow.
Could you drop a pic in the doc?
Okay, I'll put a numbat pic in the doc. And then
I'd forgotten that they were called numbats, but yes,
yes.
they are quite cool.
And then I'll put a quolla in as well.
Oh, look at this little doodle do.
The quoll. Because these are so cute. like I think that like to balance out the fact that the equivalent of dogs is going to be it's going to
look
be a
at this.
domesticated terror bird. I think having the wild animals be incredibly cute will balance.
Although,
Yeah, this guy's gonna
Oh.
get really chomped up by the terror birds. Like Checkers is really just getting it.
well, some quolls, not all of them, but I don't actually know what percentage of them, but I know at least some quolls have this particular thing where they are the males are semiparous, which means that they only have one breeding season during their life and then they die. So the males go through this once they reach maturity. They go through this period where they become extremely aggressive, and they, in one sort of huge burst of activity, compete viciously with each other to find and mate with the females, and then they all just die. So not as cute as first appears, but
It's
That
just
was
sad.
cute.
I'm fine with them being cute and sad.
cute and sad.
I mean that is vulture food right there too.
And
Just
this is
like
a
yeah.
wombinger.
a hoodawada?
A wombinger.
A won't what in the heck?
Sorry, wambinger.
Wow.
That is
Never
an
even
awesome
heard of
feather.
them.
I think this one's also known as a phascogale. There's a whole bunch of Australian marsupials that we could play around with. So yeah.
Okay.
Are.
Yeah, so they're also Dasyurids, which is the group that includes quolls.
Yes.
So they're related. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And I love the tails. They're so cute. Although I can already imagine people harvesting them to use for fashion.
Yeah, that was one little idea I had as well, is that you probably know more about this, Jake, than I do, but I was reading recently about how at Casas Grandes in, I can't remember what state it is, somewhere in the American Southwest, vaguely, there is evidence at some site that they were breeding macaws and other tropical birds because their feathers were prized as like ritual items. So I don't know, maybe that could be something that the pastoralists also do. Like certain kinds of these flightless birds have like prominent crests or something, or special kinds of feathers that they cultivate in some way.
Okay, I'm back.
You were gone?
Yeah, I was gone.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Oh.
But in terms like how varied would the feathers be in terms of like just like texture, and I guess I'm trying to think of kind of like would the flightlessness affect feather quality? Perspective.
Well, if they are flightless, then we don't care about aerodynamics anymore, obviously. So they don't need to be designed to allow for flight, but they can still very much be used in. So apparently, I actually don't know if this idea has been refuted or not, but I remember hearing that one of the reasons why terror birds retained wings, because they do still have stubby wings even though they are flightless, is because they do actually help with maneuvering when running. Like they can
makes sense.
sort of use them as rudders, so they might still have something akin to like flight feathers. And yeah, it's completely reasonable to say that some of them would have quite, colorful crests. So yeah, those could be have some sort of ritual significance to the pastoralists. If there is
Oh, I was just reading chat. Seb Ramu said Naruto style running for those terror birds. That'd be cute. Emu wings are adorable little flaps. Those that might be the we might take the word for ray, and that might mean an emu wing, just for text. I will always call a ray a flap. I know why, explain why, but it is a flap in my mind.
Me and Miles are on such opposite ends of the conlanging spectrum at some point, because like I am notoriously bad for just coining roots for stuff, because I'm so used to, like, when you work with a lot of smaller Amazonian families, you're just kind of like, oh, I guess that's a root, because we don't have any idea how to possibly reconstruct anything outside of this family. And so I've got very used to just making roots, and Miles will be like, what if we use this word for this thing? So
oh yeah, I love analogy and just like mapping stuff onto stuff.
Because I would never have been like, oh, let's use the word for ray for a little wing.
I definitely went through a stage where I was very I would only coin a new root for things if I absolutely had to, and so everything came out being very overly verbose descriptions of things. That was I'm reminded for some reason of the situation in Nawak where the atlat, the spear thrower thing, according to I think it was Andrews who listed this etymology, where it supposedly comes from tlat, which means a sling, and the at prefix means not, so it means not a sling, which is, I just think it's very funny to coin a word based on something for what it isn't. You know?
I have looked at the Monito del Monte.
I am currently looking at the Monito del Monte, and I'm obsessed.
Put the Monito del Monte on the screen.
Very cute.
Yes, the other South American marsupial.
Yes. It is also called the Colo opossum, which I think is a very fun name.
Oh, Colo.
Colo.
I guess if you're doing it properly, Spanish would be Colo. But it's so obviously reduplicated that my instinct is Colo. If it's from Argentina and Chile, that might be a Mapuche name. A creature in Mapuche mythology, apparently.
Ooh.
Okay, we're gonna back up. First off, there's a picture of one in torpor in someone's hand, so it like literally is a monito in like the full sense of the word, and it also eats a mistletoe berry, and that is adorable. That is the most like. This has to have some sort of like significance, hopefully for Christmas. I mean, I would hope so, but I don't think that would translate into.
I believe, Miles, didn't you pitch the idea of very small, tiny rabbits at one point?
Oh, probably.
Yes, the teeny tiny rabbits that are actually monitoring.
I think we have a root for that, actually.
We do.
We do. They're called Seabid. Easter Bunny.
I mean, maybe they could be marsupials of the same kind as the Monito, Monito del Monte. Or they could be monotremes, entirely up to you.
I want the Legomorph monotreme. I'm committed to the Legomorph monotreme.
Yeah,
but I think we could have monitos similar to monitos also.
Yeah.
Or Colo.
This little bunno, like. Colo.
Colo Colo? No, I don't remember what the standard stress pattern in Mapuche is.
I think it's final.
Um,
But you can quote me if I.
Well, if it was final, you'd expect to see a lot more of the place names with a final accent.
I guess that's true, wouldn't it be?
Partially predictable, non-contrastive stress. Generally last if closed and penultimate if open. So it would be Colo Colo.
So we have like 5 minutes left.
We do.
So
Wow.
we are like, this has been a trudge of a time.
Is that positive? I don't know.
I was going to say, what? I'm not familiar with that vernacular.
I would say, I think it's just a long time, but it was just like, it feels like it has gone so fast. I feel like I will say stuff and I fully know what I mean, but then the words that come out don't usually have that meaning, but I know what I mean.
Cool. I think we know what you mean too.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Apparently in Czech and Polish, obviously it would be pronounced like trud. But it means like effort or sorrow, which I guess is slightly credence to like the idea that we maybe, I think it's just because it sounds a lot like trudge.
Yeah, I heard trudge. We've been trudging through it all afternoon, and we finally emerged in a place where we know what these islands look like.
We've emerged victorious.
Apparently trudge is probably of Scandinavian origin and is related to a word for snowshoe.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense, but like, I did not think that would be where that would come from.
A trudge positive. So for those who are sticking around and believing that this video will automatically redirect, unfortunately we are too small of a channel for that to happen. But from what I am aware of, that on Madeline's channel, her
link ready.
her and McCain, also friend of the pod, are going to discuss kind of the economics of her pillar world, which is going to be super fun. I cannot wait to kind of see what sort of scale of capitalism and communism that they come up with. It will be great.
Now they can turn dragons into profit.
Yes, exactly. They can hoard their gold as much as they want to.
I mean, I think I've already incepted the idea of the coldest pillars being used as food stores, which I'm very pleased with because I had thoughts about it earlier and I don't think it would have been so like accepted. So I'm glad that I have like put that into her mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
And you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the Mihirungs well.
Big thank you to you for introducing us to the Mihirung as well. I say mid.
It's our penultimate stream. You can catch us later.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
Yes, you shall. I am game mastering a fun little endeavor on here. If you love some diachronics and some conlanging and making some fun choices about it, it's going to be a really fun time. I'm excited to kind of reveal the secret that I've been sitting on for 2 months to these people who probably have no idea what's going to be happening.
Yeah, I'm a little bit apprehensive, but as long as I know, I will do my best.
I have very tight reins on this,
but I'm also very excited. So yeah,
Okay.
looking forward to it. And thank you very much for having me on.
A bit stronger.
Of course.
It was great fun. I'm glad. Things actually got a lot more sort of. We went a lot deeper into the speculative territory than I actually thought we were going to get, which is fun.
Yeah. Cool.
And, cool. I'm glad to have given you some ideas to work with.
I think we have a plethora to work with now. So I'm very excited to kind of delve into them. We can kind of explore more. Shall we Bouba it?
Yeah.
Okay, Bouba everybody.
Bye. Bye. I've never said that word before.
Okay, we are off, I believe.